Hi, good morning, Mr. Kandia.
Morning.
Hi. We are very happy to have you here with us to talk about this topic, which is academic publication of research result. So not good enough for a patent description. So this webinar is suitable for researchers and lecturers of university, mainly in the hard science and technology. And those who work in a research-based institution and organization. So before I pass the floor to Mr. Kandia, I'd like to do a sound check. For the online, those who are currently online, if you can hear us or see us, can hear us and see the screen, please type AV, okay, and then let us know your location. Can you do that? Just do a quick sound check before we continue on. Can you type in the chat box if you can hear us clearly and see the screen. I need your feedback so that we know that we can start this. Okay? Okay, good.
Okay, good morning to all those who have registered for this webinar. Welcome you to this webinar. My name is Kandaya. Now, the topic we've chosen today is academic publications of research results. Why are they not good enough for a patent description? Now, from my experience working with the universities in this country, we often get instructions to file patent applications for research carried out in the university. As you know, most universities, when they carry out research, they tend to publish their research results in academic journals, or they produce research reports, thesis papers, and so on. And those documents are passed over to us to file for a patent for that research. Now, we often find the information contained in the academic thesis, even though they are well written, they are accepted for publication in well-respected peer-reviewed journals.
Sorry, sorry, Mr.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Just want to do a quick check. Can you all see the screen, the presentation slide of Mr. Kandia? For the online audience, can you all see? Can you all see? From my side, okay. Can you all see the slides? Sorry, just do a quick check. Can the online audience see? If you can see, please type yes in the chat box.
Hello, sorry for the trouble. I just logged in now. I'm Casey Lau here, by the way. So this is Ivana's session, and this is an emergency. Also, I just came in because her computer hanged, and we couldn't end that session if you. Okay, now we see your screen. So it's like this is under your screen.
The first slide is on the screen.
Yeah, let's. I think you can continue with the presentation. Yeah, okay now.
Okay, welcome participants for this webinar. We apologize for the technical issue we had earlier in the program. Well, as we were saying earlier, this webinar talk on academic publications. Why are they not good enough for patent applications? And most of us spend a lot of time, research, and effort to do research and end the research. We're very proud to publish the results in some peer-reviewed academic publications. Okay. Now, the academic publications normally discuss the research they did, the science behind it, and they will discuss the results of the research. Now, although it will be a very well-written article, well received in peer-reviewed journals, but they're not good enough for a patent application. In this seminar, we'll discuss what's the difference between academic publication and what's needed for a good patent grant. Now, before we go further, we need to know what's the reasons why you obtain a patent, what's required in a patent. Now, the reasons to obtain a patent are basically twofold. First, you want to get exclusive rights to your invention. Actually, those inventions which have some commercial potential, you want to get exclusive rights. Exclusive right means you don't want others to benefit from your invention, to use invention. If they want to use invention, you expect them to take a license from you. That's the second reason, to to license technology to others for royalty income. So if they use your research results, then you want them to pay you income. We call it royalty fees, which is you basically use to recover a cost of your research. Okay. So these are the two main reasons. Now, because of the exclusivity required, and a patent is basically a grant given by the government of each country, actually it's a bargain whereby the inventor has to disclose full details of the invention to the public. In this case, he files the application in the patent office, and once the patent office is satisfied that your patent application meets the legal requirements, they'll grant you a patent. A patent is actually a government-granted monopoly for a limited period of time. That's for maximum of 20 years. Okay? So during this period, you have exclusive rights to your invention. Okay? And any party who uses your technology, your invention, without your consent is actually infringing a patent for which you can take legal action. Ultimately, once you get a patent, it's easier to license your technology to third parties. So these are the two main reasons to obtain a patent. Now, the patent itself, you find that you'll have later on discuss what are the contents of the patent document. But basically, the most important thing in a patent is the claims, the patent claims. The patent claims will actually limit your boundaries of invention. What is the forbidden ground which third parties cannot come enter into? If they enter into the forbidden ground, then they are infringing a patent. So patent claims are boundary. Like analogy would be in let's say you have a piece of land. You have a piece of land, you need to put a fence around. The fence shows the limits of the exclusivity to the land you have. So like in the case of a house, you have a fence around the house, and within the fence is your property. You can do what you want within the property. Anybody enters your fence is actually trespassing into your property. Similarly, in a patent document, the claims limit the boundaries of your invention, and anybody who enters into the boundary is infringing a patent. So when you do the research, the patent claims must come in such a manner they are broad enough, not too narrow, so that others can use the invention and not infringe. At the same time, it's not be too broad. But generally, the rule is that it must be broad enough to cover possible variations in the working of the invention without departing from the scope of the invention. What it really means is that when you draft a patent, in academic research, you will really publish what you have done. But for a patent application, you want to claim a broad area of exclusivity. There could be possible variations of the working parameters of the invention. For example, in the field of science, there could be changes in temperatures, pressure, voltage, current values. Ingredients can be substituted, different starting materials can be used, and so on. And all this will be within a range, but they give the same benefits of the invention. Now, in order to claim this broad range, your claims must include that, and for you to include those in the claims, your description must have those supporting features. Okay. Now, for example, let's discuss these parameters. For example, in a chemical reaction, I've got a graph here which shows the parameters. Let's say the temperature, you work at 30 degrees centigrade, and that's optimum temperature you find. That's optimum for this particular chemical process. But you know that even if you change the temperature from 20 to 33 degrees centigrade, you can still operate the chemical process. Okay? Beyond 33 and below 20, it may not be technically undesirable. It may be too expensive, or this reaction is too slow, or it's not feasible. So you're not interested in those extreme temperatures. But within 20 to 33, it's still technically possible to work the process, although the optimum would be 30 degrees. So if your research you work at 30 and show results for 30, but in your claim, you want to put 20 to 33 because you don't want anybody to operate at 32. You operate at 32 degrees centigrade, and your claim only talks about 30 degrees centigrade, then literally he's not infringing a patent because he's operating at a different temperature. But if you claim a range from 20 to 33, any temperature within that range would be infringing your claims. So that's the reason why you need a broad range. So 20 to 33 are variable temperature, although the optimum is 30. So in a patent claim, you will claim 30, but you also claim 20 to 33. Okay? So that you have a sort of a broader coverage for your invention. This is the case of temperatures. Okay. Now let's use the case of ingredients used in research. For example, in a chemical research, use potassium hydroxide as the alkali in research. So in your research, you only do sodium hydroxide, but you know from technically, you can use other alkalis such as sodium hydroxide and calcium hydroxide. So if sodium hydroxide and calcium hydroxide can be used, then you want to claim that those ingredients in the claims as well. Okay. Not only you will claim potassium hydroxide, but you also claim sodium hydroxide and calcium hydroxide, okay, because they can be easily used. Okay. Another example would be, for example, chlorine. If you're using chlorine used in your research, then you can see, can it be substituted with bromine or fluorine? If they can, technically it's possible, then you need to claim those other halides as well. The third example is, for example, if you're doing research with using palm oil as a starting material, and you know that it's technically possible to use other plant-based oils, such as corn oil or soybean oil can also be used. Okay? Although the yield may be low and the cost may be high. But coming to cost, cost is actually a temporary factor and it varies from country to country. So what may be expensive now, maybe in a few years now, it may be cheaper. Bear in mind that patent lasts for 20 years. So even though now the price of a starting material may be high, but a few years down the line, due to other external factors, the raw material cost may be lower, it may be affordable. At that time, your patent still need to be cover those type of starting materials. So in the beginning itself, you cover the possible starting materials. Okay. So you need to have a broad range. This is what I mean as variations in your research, and you need to cover that in your patent document. Okay. Now let's look at the fundamental rules on patent claims. Now, the laws of all the countries when you apply for a patent requires that all the patent claims must be supported by disclosure. There is facts or evidence in the body of the patent description. Okay? You cannot claim anything. For example, if you use palm oil, you cannot say that I can use any starting material, any plant-based vegetable oils as a starting material. You have to show by working examples that it's possible to substitute palm oil with other type of vegetable oils. You need to show in the patent description working examples and practical data to support your claim that other oils can be used. Similarly, using my earlier example when I said instead of potassium hydroxide, I said you can use sodium hydroxide or calcium hydroxide. You need to show in your patent description that with sodium hydroxide, the invention still work. Instead of potassium hydroxide, sodium hydroxide work, or calcium hydroxide will still work. You have to show technical results in the patent document to enable you to claim the use of sodium hydroxide and calcium hydroxide as substitutes for potassium hydroxide. Okay. Unless you can prove it's a well-accepted fact in science or field. Now this is on a gray area because you may argue it's well accepted, but the patent examiner may not agree with you and you have a problem area there. So it's better to be on the the positive side, disclose information rather than depending on this argument that it's a well accepted fact in science. Okay. So that is a difference of opinion, your view against the examiner's view. You don't want to get into those arguments. So that increase your cost of your patent prosecution application. Okay. Now, I'll give you an example here. Research work in palm oil starting material. Nearly saying the other plant-based oils such as corn oil, soybean oil we use is not good enough. You need to show evidence that use of the alternate oil is technically possible. You need some lab results. You don't need the commercial production. Just lab results is good enough